What's up, everybody? Welcome back to On the Warpath. It's Sanchez 405 with you. If you're new, make sure you click that subscribe button. Hit the bell so you get notifications anytime there's new content posted. And as always, like, comment, share this video out because y'all know what we do here. We talk about the Washington Commanders, and we finally are getting back into the preview mode. So I've got my guy Will here. We've been working together on the PSF app, and we are going to start reviewing and previewing each week to the rest of the season, and hopefully we hope that's into late January, maybe even a little early February. But Will, appreciate you being here with us, here with me, and just introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, Corey, it's great to be here with you. I appreciate it. Like you said, me and you have been chopping it up back and forth on the PSF app. Now heading over to YouTube. William Foshee, big time Commanders fan, love talking the game, producer for the Take Command podcast with Craig Hoffman and Logan Paulson, and just a diehard fan of the team. I think that we're seeing some phenomenal football right now. I think that the state of the organization is probably healthier than it ever has been, certainly healthier than we have been in a long time. And I mean, Corey, it's like we've said for the past couple of weeks. It has just been success story after success story for this team. They play with a chip on their shoulder. They play with their heart on their sleeve, and they just continue to find ways to win.
Yeah, and Logan Paulson actually is a friend of the channel. Had him on here in 2021. A great conversation with him. Before we even get started, I want to send my well wishes out and thoughts and prayers with Pete Medhurst and his family. Pete's going through cancer treatment, and he had surgery earlier today prior to us recording. So just our thoughts and prayers with him. He's been on there a couple of times, voiced at the Naval Academy. So if you know Pete, Pete is one of a kind and a great dude. So we hope and pray for him, his wife Brenda, and the kids, and hope everything goes well there with Big Pete. But William, yeah, I mean it's wow. I guess I'm just gonna start with you. Where were you when you heard the bomb dropped all over the world and the JD5 dime?
It quite literally, I mean, and I was just talking to my buddy who was actually at the stadium on the phone this past week, and it's a constant state of disbelief. Here we are now 5 days removed, and I still cannot wrap my head around what happened. And I've got to say real quick, Corey, your reaction video was one of the best, hands down, that I saw on Twitter. And it was how every single fan was feeling. Sitting there, we were on the couch watching with our buddies, and it was really funny because we were getting ready for the Take Command instant reaction show with Craig and Logan, and I shot Craig a text, right after they scored, and literally I pulled it up actually today to show one of my buddies, and I said, "Tough loss. You think we're gonna go in 45?" And 10 minutes later, he just texts me back, "Ha ha 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 ha." It was just unbelievable. And you could talk about the Hail Mary, you could talk about how incredible it was. But what I want to talk to you about specifically is the series that led up to the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Because yes, the Hail Mary was spectacular, immaculate even. But you don't get to the position to be able to throw that Hail Mary without the highest level of execution of fast-paced offense that we saw in the plays leading up. That is a situation in which there is absolutely zero margin for error. If you don't immediately get out of bounds, if you don't hit any single one of those plays, the Commanders are not in a position to be able to make that play. And so I definitely want to get into the Hail Mary. But first, I mean, what were your feelings? What are your takeaways from watching a rookie quarterback show that level of poise, composure, and football IQ to get us to that point?
Well, at first, I'm going to yell at Austin Eckler. He should have kneeled that ball in. That would have saved a lot of that extra work. But that's neither here nor there now, right? No, I thought it was it's been Jaden Daniels all season long. He's calm, cool, and collected. He looked unbothered. by the moment. The moment wasn't too big for him. I mean, he had that pass to Ertz that fell on the ground, and then he went right back to Ertz. Ertz picked up some yardage. And we got to give the Chicago Bears some credit too, right? Just because of the ineptitude of Matt Eberflus to not have somebody on Terry McLaurin to get us in to that position for Jaden Daniels to have that one hail of a heave, right? So I look at that and I'm like, okay, and him, it's the chemistry between him and Terry McLaurin because those 13 yards were so key to getting us to that point. And then you got to give credit to the offensive line as well, the way they held the pocket, the way that they block. And I don't get why you send a spy on a Hail Mary, but I mean that's Chicago. That's
To
all
be
on
fair,
Chicago.
he's also shown you he could shift you. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, not to say he would have pulled it off, but that is a situation that you certainly cannot count out his ability
exactly.
to run the football.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm just like, oh, 2 seconds left. Why are you doing this? And then the MVP of the game is Tyreek Stevenson, right? Because of he was jawing with the fans. He had already messed up earlier in the game when he was trying to jar with Terry. He bet with some fans early on in the game, and it was just an amalgamation of a crap sandwich for him, right? And I'm sitting there like, wow, this guy, he really like he woke up this morning and said, yeah, this is how I'm going to screw up. And I'm just going to find every single way to just make it hard on everybody else around me and that I care about. And I mean, he tipped it to Noah Brown, and Noah Brown, presence of mind. I mean, yeah, it's a gimme, right? But he could have still dropped that thing because
Oh,
I think
any
he
in
looked,
that situation, anybody could
yeah,
have dropped it. There is
he's
no sweat off it.
he looked so shocked when he grabbed that ball and just like and brought it back in. But wow, I mean that sequence of plays was and Cliff's done this before. He did in Arizona with Kyler Murray and against Buffalo, right? And they call that the Hail Murray down there in the desert. So they say they practice this. I don't know how much they practice, but you can tell Terry was in front of the play, Noah was behind the play. So they had the opportunities if it was bounced forward or bounced backwards. Of course, if it got bounced forward, it probably would have been a hard line to toe. But I'll ask you this: 400 some odd yards total for this offense. Red zone woes, the missed field goal by Cyber, which I think was a bad snap by Ott because Tressway had to
Yeah.
bring that back in. Um, talk about that. Like, it just seemed like the penalties, the illegal men downfield. This game should have been a blowout in all respect and honesty to the Bears and whatnot. And Caleb Williams only had 4 completed passes going into the fourth quarter with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So
Yeah. I think that, it's the ineptitude, like you said. In a
mhm.
lot of ways, as much as we could be excited for the Commanders, as enthusiastic we could be about that Hail Mary, about the way that they were able to finish, this game was a story of mistakes
Yes.
by the Chicago Bears. I mean, the fumble on the goal line, trying to run the fullback up the middle, that like things that just didn't seem to make sense. Caleb really in a game that was being highly touted as the number 1 versus number 2 overall pick was just off fully off his mark, sailing balls left and right, the easy ones even. When they started to try to get him going with the screen game, he just couldn't find it. He couldn't find it all game long. And even at the end of the game, when they did kind of pick it up in the fourth quarter, 131 yards, 10 for 24, that's in no way by any sort of measure of the game a tremendous stat line,
No.
regardless of what position you're at. And so I think that there was, like you mentioned, an ineptitude from the Chicago team, but there were two aspects of the game, and one of them you already kind of highlighted that stuck out to me, and it really showed probably the most that it has all season in that final progression, but it is the relationship between Jaden and Cliff and the
Mm-hmm.
relationship between Jaden and Terry.
Yep.
Now, I want to take you back, Corey. Let's remember those first couple of games of the season. Hell, let's remember the first Giants matchup. What was the number one thing that we were talking about after every one of
Target.
these games?
Terry
Where
Tarkin.
the hell is Terry McLaurin? Where is
Yeah.
he? Nobody could find him. It was like Jaden didn't even care that he had one of the most dynamic, athletic receivers probably in the league on his team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there was something about that slow progression between them two, excuse me, that is it's flourished. And we are seeing two phenomenal football players playing some of the best football, albeit in Jaden's young career, but for Terry, some of the best football that he has played in his entire career. They have been able to develop this chemistry throughout the season, and it's a natural progression. It wasn't like a lot of what people were talking about with Caleb, where they kind of tried to throw Caleb into this very dynamic, very intense system and make him adapt. It goes back to what people were complaining about with Cliff's offense, a college offense. Like we talked about, it's a college quarterback.
Cornerback,
Between
right.
both Cliff and Jaden and Terry and Jaden, we have seen a natural progression and a natural development of chemistry that
Mm-hmm.
is finally coming to fruition, and it feels just real. It feels authentic. And I think that my biggest takeaway from this game was the difference in position and difference of support that we saw Caleb have in Chicago and Jaden have in Washington, where this entire franchise is surrounding Jaden, whereas Caleb, it almost feels like it's kind of being thrown on an island and being like, hey, you need to adapt, you need to do this. And there's a load that's being put on him. And I mean, you said it, over 400 all purpose yards of offense. It's those two
Mm-hmm.
relationships that are leading to this offensive success for the Washington Commanders.
Right. And you talk about Caleb Williams. I liken it to Ron Rivera and Eric Bieniemy last year, right? Like you all are going to play to the
Absolutely.
context of our system. We're not going to give you flexibility to do which what to heck if the running game is going to be your key thing. You're going to throw the ball 60 sometimes in a row against the Chicago Bears and lose by 20 points. But we're not talking about the past. We're talking about the future. And I said this to kind of wrap the Bears part up. I told my group here on YouTube and everything. I said this is a game that you're going to look back on and you're going to say, "Doggone it, you wish you won it." Like you're gonna look when you're trying to. Eddie Jordan says, "Harvest your nuts," right? And you're gonna try to find that nut you were trying to harvest. This would have been the game, and with 2 seconds left, that was about to be the game. So it's good to see now you set yourself up with success going into November, where the schedule does get treacherous. Yes, I'm including these New York Football Giants in the treachery because this can be you go from an emotional high to a very emotional low in games like this. And we saw last night that you can be 6-2, have a pretty good quarterback, and still get beat by an old man wearing number 8 and that plays in New York with Aaron Rodgers. And let's talk about. Let's just dive into the New York Football Giants. They are 2-6 on the season. A game that got us right on the season. It was ugly. I was there in person.
As was
I
I,
mean,
yeah. I mean, you got to
yeah,
be there for the start of the Jaden Daniels
you
era. You
do.
can't miss
Yes,
that
you
moment.
did with them gold pants and everything. But I mean, in the Bears game was very reminiscent of that game against the Giants. Like we couldn't get the red zone going. We had penalties. It was just like we were shooting ourselves in the foot. Thank God for Austin Seibert with the field goals and everything. He had 7 field goals in that win. I remember Amy Lawrence. I was on my way back home. And I listened to her in the middle of the night, and she was saying like, "Oh, this is the game that nobody really wants to talk about." I bet you're talking about the Commanders now, Amy. Just to ask that point, but um, two teams going in opposite directions here, William. What does this team have to do coming into this week to not avoid a letdown?
Well, Corey, I think it's going to start with focus. I think that the number one thing that you were looking at with this team is focus. These penalties are unacceptable. We have seen in previous years that Washington football, they're going to get penalized and they're going to give up yards and they're going to blow games because of it. This team does not have that identity. And you highlighted it. It was the same story in the Giants game. It was the same story in this game, that those penalties are not part of this team. I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know if it was living up to the billing of getting flexed to the 430. I don't know what it was, but that is unacceptable. And then the other thing, it is the finishing. Obviously, when you get into these red zone situations, there is so much different about what you are doing as an NFL offense in the red zone than what you are doing in the open field. You have different personnel packages. You are trying to move guys more quickly on and off the field. You are trying to communicate at a much higher level than you are when you're going to give Jaden a little bit more flexibility on your own 45 and kind of let him figure it out. These are much more scripted plays. And thus far, I'm not saying that it is necessarily on Cliff's game plan. I'm not saying that it is on Jaden, but whatever it is, the Commanders have got to figure out how to get in the end
Yeah.
zone. I mean, I had a buddy who was, like I said, at the Bears game as well, and he just texts us and he says, I have been in person, because he was with us at the Giants game. He said, I have been in person for a game and a half of Commanders football, and I have seen 10 field goals.
Yeah.
And that is an astounding statistic. With an offense this versatile that is able to put up over 400 yards on a seemingly at ease against any team, which, mind you, for the faults that the Bears had, they have a very strong passing defense. And that is not a shabby statistic to be able to put up 400 yards on the Bears pass D.
Yeah.
They are very good, and they really forced Jaden to step out of his comfort zone. But it's the red zone finishing. You do not continue to win football games without getting into the end zone. And sure, you could say that this is a very weak Giants team. Yes, it is. Yes, they are trending in opposite directions. But you know what's harder than beating a team once, Corey? It's beating a team twice.
In your
And the
own
Giants,
division.
exactly. And the
Mm-hmm.
Giants have the benefit of coming out of that first game. They can look at the film and say, here's what worked for us, here's what didn't. Let's revise that. Whereas the Commanders could say, okay, we won. Sure, you're going to do a little bit of, here's what didn't work, here's what, but you don't have that chip on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't necessarily feel like you're coming in with that edge, particularly, like you mentioned, off of the emotional high of that Chicago game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, like I said, twice beating the team twice and everything, it is difficult, especially when it's family business, right? In the NFC East, and particularly, we haven't done that well against anybody in this division. But the Giants had always seemed like the bugaboo. We kind of throw out that 2021 season because it was just a bad season for both teams, especially that last game at the end of the season where they had Jake from State Farm or out there playing for them, and they had to kneel the ball instead of throwing it. Um, they said, Malik, would you be my neighbors out there? And he cooked us burnt toast and coffee time. We're gonna have Saint Idiot on him, excuse me, Saint Juiced on him, and
And Lord, was he tough to watch against Chicago.
terrible,
Oh my
terrible.
God.
You didn't need to hook Keenan Allen down there, but
Oh,
somehow you do it. What I mean, this is going to be a debate for trade talks here coming up probably Monday into Tuesday before the deadline. Is St. Juice is a liability out there, which Malik Neighbors had over 150 yards against us, and it was on simple stuff too, like simple crossing routes. Now, granted, I think this defense is a lot better than him, and maybe they will have a game plan for him. Rather, maybe don't let him beat you with your arm at Daniel Jones, but let him beat you with your legs and get rid of Malik Neighbors, who is a few weeks removed from an injury too, where he missed a couple of games.
I mean, look, Neighbors buck 27 off of 10
Mhm.
receptions and a touchdown.
Yeah.
I'll give the guy credit. He is not unguardable, but at the same time, he's unguardable. He is going to do something special against you on an occasion or two. And look, you're going to have to take that on your shoulder, rest on your laurels, and let your offense get it done. But the way that they approached him was not great, particularly in the first half of that game, where he did pick up a good chunk of that 127 yards.
Mm-hmm.
This defense, I think that you said it is not the same. And we said it at the beginning of the season that nobody is going to look at this defense and shock at the roster. But when your best defense is a good offense, all that this unit has to do is be run of the mill average. They
Middle,
can
just
be
middle of
bum
16. Yeah.
average. Just don't do anything stupid. Don't give up those penalties. Don't give up an 85-yard chunk. If you're going to let them go 4 yard, 4 yard, 4 yard over and over again, you're going to pick up a stop, pick up a punt, hold to a field goal every now and then. Look, that's okay. Other teams are going to score, and you can rest on your laurels
Hmm.
because you have such a good offense. I think that for the defense, this is going to be yet another in the long list of what we've called opportunity games, where, yes, you have a very
Right.
dynamic playmaker in Malik Neighbors. However, do they really have another weapon? Are you really going to like Devin Singletary? Sure. Like, are we really going to put that much emphasis on him? We need to be able to stop the
The
run game
Tracy
up
kid.
front. Yeah, exact. Tyrone Tracy, who is very good and has flourished throughout this
Hmm.
season. Look, you've got some issues. You've got Luvu as a DNP on Thursday. Should be okay to go, but you never really know. This team is a little bit banged up after that Chicago game, but this is
Hmm.
another opportunity for a Washington Commanders not great defensive unit to try a couple things out, build up confidence in themselves, and try to come to terms with what it's like when you do have to play a team that has a weapon where you're basically playing a containment game.
Yep, absolutely. And that's going to be the name of the game is to contain. Let somebody else beat you. Don't let Malik Neighbors beat you. On defense, we've seen that they have had struggles sometimes with this defense. As for I think Thibodeau as well. They got Ojolari over there.
Yep.
And that idiot from Maryland Banks, the kid that was upset that we didn't draft him.
Oh
Son, we're
yeah.
upset we didn't draft you last year either. We would have drafted a homeless man over Emmanuel Forbes. He looks the part and he plays the part, but I mean, we would have drafted you over him any day if we had common sense. So, I mean, on this defense, which kind of gave Jaden Fitz for granted, that was his second week of the season. Offense is a lot different. I think the name of the game here on defense, I mean, on offense against the defense, executing the red zone.
Yeah.
Executing the red zone. Just that red zone execution. Get Ben Sinnott involved. Get old boy Zach Ertz back involved. And can we? Well, William, we say this all the time.
I'm waiting to say it. I'm
I
just
don't
waiting
care.
to say it. I know
I'm
it.
just
I'm
gonna.
waiting to
Here you
say
go.
it.
Here you go. I'm a volleyball it. Teeth. Boom. Just said. There you go.
Somebody get Luke McCaffrey in the end zone. Lord have mercy. He even got one toe in on a remarkably athletic catch. Couldn't get both feet down. This kid he's on his hands and knees begging for a breakout. I'm telling you, Corey, if they can get Luke McCaffrey in the end zone, this kid's season is going to explode.
Yeah.
If they can make this happen, he is consistently open. You can tell that Jaden wants to find him the football. Sure, he's not Terry McLaurin. He's not your go-to read, but he is being underappreciated by defense for his athleticism. Look at some of the blocks that he lays
Oh, I
out
know.
at the line. Like, this kid is
I
physical
know.
as all hell. I guarantee you, if you get him the ball in the open field, he is going to put his head down and try to run through somebody like a freight train. I am I am waiting on the edge of my seat for the day where we find him in the end zone, because I truly believe as soon as we do, that is going to open up an entire new aspect of this offense. It just is.
Yeah. I'm waiting to text you that day and just say, finally. Just say finally
It's going to
on
be a
there.
sigh of relief. It's going to be a sigh of relief. But I think, I'm rooting for Luke. Luke is my go-to. I will continue
Oh,
to
I
throw in
know.
any time on Luke until it hits,
Mhm.
because one of these days it's going to. But I think that one of the biggest points for this offense, and I'm interested to hear what your
Mhm.
thoughts are. How about Coleman making his, pretty much full return for
Mhm.
this Washington offensive unit? I think that could be a massive component, not just in this game, but potentially really door
Yeah.
opening for Jaden and what he is able to do throughout the rest of this season.
Yeah, I mean, you and I talked about this early on that they were kind of phasing out Lucas a little bit. Not, I wouldn't say phasing out, but they were giving Coleman more of the blunt of the snaps and everything. So now he's going to get this opportunity to go out there and play. And Lord have mercy, if we said this before, if we hit on a day 2 pick at left tackle, we've got something cooking
Oh
here.
yeah.
But the young man's played. I think he said that he's had maybe a headache or two since being in concussion protocol, where he missed last week.
Yeah, still limited
But
on Thursday. Didn't
mhm,
really see much, but he is practicing. Seems to be
he's
all
gonna be
signs
good.
22. We're going, and
Yeah.
he is going to go. And my biggest thing is I want to circle back to what we talked about at the top of
Hmm.
the show, which is the culture on this team.
Oh yeah.
And if I am him and I'm anybody on this roster that has had to sit on the sideline and has been watching how much fun these guys are having on the field,
I want
the
to be there.
minute that I get my opportunity, I am coming in full head of steam. It is the same, it's that same drive, which is why before the Panthers game, I got so fired up and I was telling you that this offense is going to come in there and wreak havoc on an
Hmm.
albeit bad, but they are going to go out there and they're going to show their stuff. This team hates losing and they hate not playing football. All they want to do is win football games. And whether you are out with injury, whether you are coming off a loss, there is something about the way that this group has come together that is different from every Washington team that we have seen in the past decade, and you hear it week in, week out
Adults.
in press. Yeah, professionals,
Yeah.
professionals. But at the same time, we're getting professionals that have that. It's the childlike wonderment. It's the
Hmm.
romanticization of football and getting to play the game. Every single guy talks about it in the locker room. They're just like, man, I haven't had this much fun since playing college football. And these guys, we've rejuvenated careers. We have guys that were out that are in. Everybody is buying in. And so I think when you look at a guy like Coleman, who's been forced to be on the sideline watching this, I think that in any sort of return, in any bounce back that you get from this team and the individuals on it, it's going to be in a big way. And I think that his ability to give Jaden a little bit more time. We've seen what he could do when he sets his feet even off of a scramble. I mean, 65 yards in the air after he's already shaken 2 defenders. Unbelievable. If he has a little bit more time to compose himself and open up his throwing options, we avoid some injury concerns with him being so eager to run the ball. And B, I mean, the guy can just huck it. He's got one of the best deep balls in the NFL. You got people calling for MVP for him excuse me, I'm just totally blanking on his name. Allen. I mean, it's Josh Allen. It's just
Look. Hold on. We not no Josh Allen. It's still Lamar Jackson on this in this stratosphere. I don't care what anybody says.
I don't know. I mean, now
Um,
that he's got Deontay, that offense is about to. Let's be perfectly clear. I am glad
yeah,
that we are gonna. I'm glad that we got the Ravens pre Deontay, not post Deontay, because that man
right.
would have given us hell in the deep ball.
Like Zay Flowers was just eating us up, right?
Oh my God, so you're gonna give me PTSD. We're on to positive things right now. We're on a positive note.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're
But look,
absolutely
I
right.
mean, it's just it's gonna come down to, like you said, it's just finishing. We know that we
Hmm.
can move the sticks. We can. But it is when you are in the red zone, you gotta make it when it counts.
Yeah.
Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Grenades.
And I mean, like we said, we got lucky. It was immaculate, but you cannot have a performance against the Bears
No.
against any other team, because these are, whether the Washington guys have been in the past or not, every other team in the NFL, they're professionals. And it doesn't matter their record. They want to win football games and they know that they're getting paid to win football games.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's go score prediction on this one. I'll start with you first. What are you thinking as a score prediction?
Now, see, this one's tough because
You want
that
to be bold,
Panthers
don't you?
game, that Panthers game, it was easy. It was easy to say 38 points on the board and that they may, yeah, sure, maybe we give up 2, but look, I mean, you said it. This is in-house. This is an in-house game, and it is tough to blow out teams in the NFC East. Now, see, now you're making me nervous. Now you're making me want to go
That's
up
the
with my
point.
pick.
That's the point.
You're
I'm
making,
watching you.
man, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 28. No, I'm gonna go 34-17. I'm gonna go 34-17.
Okay.
I'm gonna double up on them. I think that look, I'm an LSU hold that Tiger fan. I think Malik Neighbors is still gonna give this defense hell. I think that there's nothing they can't do shit about him. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
Devin Singletary, he's a hell of a player. He could give us some numbers if we overplay Neighbors a little bit. I think that they find the end zone for sure. I am cautiously optimistic that with the emphasis that I hope we put on finishing, that we have some red zone this week. I'm going to go 34-17. What about you?
Um, Mine's a little bit closer. I still have us winning 27-20. Washington wins. I just think they're
See, I almost went 17-28. Then you psyched me. You were watching me.
yeah.
You were
I was
watching
watching.
me.
I just didn't want you to go. Look, I didn't know if you were punch drunk or you were like, or you were just kind of like, let's be a little modest. So I had to double check on you. Like I was just like, because I don't want people in the comments, like Craig says, don't read the comments, right? I ain't read comments. Oh, what is he doing? What is he doing? But they probably been excited. They're probably thinking I'm more of the afraid one with that 27-20 prediction. But I was thinking about it earlier, and then I listened to Sheehan and Lavero actually said the score that I thought. I said, yeah, so this is a sign. I'm just gonna go 27-20 on this one.
I like it. I mean, look, like we said, there are no easy games
Nope.
for this team. And there's no trap game. There is no banana peel game. Every game is a game, and they need to take
Yep.
them as they come. They need to get their head on their shoulders. They need to come down off that emotional high and be ready to play some good football.
Yep. There's another. You're a grown ass man. There's another grown ass man right in front of you. The difference is which one's hungrier. You want to eat peanuts or you want to eat steak. That's just that's just a difference in it right there. So whoever's got that hunger for that steak is going to win. But William, brother, I appreciate you. This is fun. We're gonna continue this. We're gonna continue this trend on Wednesdays. So it'll be like a Warpath Wednesday with William. Maybe I might put a Warpath Wednesday with William. We'll
I
put that
like that. I'm
on. But
always in for the
yeah,
alliteration. I'm
yeah, yeah,
always in for the alliteration. That's easy. That's
yeah.
easy.
So that's what we'll do, and appreciate you, brother. And we'll be talking as the Commanders go up to MetLife Stadium, which has been a nightmare for New York fans. Thank goodness for the LA Dodgers, right? Anyway, Sanchez 405. He's William. We'll be talking to you next time. I'll be here for live stream on Sunday, then the Monday after pill on Monday, just to recap everything going on and get y'all to call in. But till next time, we keep that same damn energy. We outlast the bastards together. Sanchez 405. Love, peace, and hell. Till next time, somebody get the theme music. We out. I think.